Welcome to the breakfast show on Faith FM with Skafy and friends. This is the best place to start your day with positive and uplifting thoughts. You're listening across Australia on 87.6, 87.8, or 88, depending on where you are. You can also check us out through the Faith FM app. Today, if you are listening live, is Friday, the 6th of February, 2026. I am Skafy, and joining me here today in the studio, I have my good mate, Dan Livingston, joining me. Good morning to you, Dan.
Hey, good morning.
And, of course, we have producer Shell at the desk. Good morning to producer Shell as well. And we are going to start our day, Dan and Shell, sharing our gratitudes. I'll go first. I am so grateful for yesterday's show.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So we had Adam Ramden. He is the founder of a program or project called The Lineage Journey. They have a YouTube channels, Instagram, website. And what they do is that they really bring life into the history of the Christian church, particularly of the reformers at the time of the Reformation. So he would go on site, he will film, he will explain what happened there, and he will also tell, okay, why is that meaningful? Why is that relevant today? So yesterday we had a great show. I think that a lot of people enjoyed it. And I actually have a good news regarding that. I have a surprise. If you, listening friend, enjoyed yesterday's show, did you know that you can hear it again on the podcast, but with a thing? Our podcast has 20 minutes longer of extra material that was not in the original show.
Not broadcast yesterday.
No, we have some bonus material for you. Wow. 20 full minutes where we're going through talking about some of the most important, some of the highlights of reformers that were not in the original show.
Yeah, wow.
So some bonus content for you. Oh, and if you have missed yesterday's show, well, you can just listen to it for the first time, and you are going to get the bonus content as you access our podcast. So it was a great show. I was really inspired. What about you, Dan? What are you grateful for this morning?
I am grateful for the blessed hope, the promise to see loved ones again. Yeah. I was at a funeral earlier this week, and its funerals are sad. Yeah. But there is hope.
Okay.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely something to be thankful for. I also have beloved relatives, that passed away, and I'm looking forward to the day that Jesus will return, the dead will be raised from their graves, and we'll be reunited with them, and never to experience pain, suffering, or death ever again. So this is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. Actually, I must say I try to organize my entire life, my entire existence around sharing that hope and being ready for that moment when it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Same.
Very good. Look, then, do you know what we're going to be talking about in our show today? We're going to be finishing today the story of Joseph being placed in charge in Egypt. And we're going to be asking a very interesting question. Where is the gospel in that story? The gospel according to Joseph, if you want. Not Joseph Skafy, but the Joseph in the Bible. We are also going to be talking about a revolution happening right at the moment in the AI industry, one that will soon come to your home and my home and our computers very, very soon. I'm probably, I'm prophesying here, quote unquote. And remember how people were talking about AI replacing us on our jobs? Yeah. Now there's a plot twist. AI is trying to hire humans, so they're going to become our new bosses. That story will be shared with you at about in our 7 o'clock segment, so stay tuned. We have a great show ahead of us today.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And it's now time for us to play a quiz game. Actually, yesterday in our special program, Dan, we had a Reformation-themed quiz game. Yeah. It was very interesting, that one. And now producer Shah will serve us a fresh new question from her batch.
I will indeed. Who was described as a fruitful bow by a well? Who was described as a fruitful bow by a well? Do we know the answer? Skafy has it correct.
I got it. I got this one.
Not correct.
Is it close?
Very close.
You're in the ballpark.
Yes. Who is described as a fruitful bow by a well by his father? I'll give a little extra hint, and it is a Genesis answer.
So I got the right father.
Now we are narrowing it down significantly.
I got the right father.
Yes,
but
indeed.
Yeah,
just the wrong son.
Yeah.
Okay, the phone number here is 0491 064 669. We'd love for you to play along with us. So
is that the phone number for phone a friend, Shel?
For phone a friend. You can,
I think I need
you can phone a friend. Who was described as a fruitful bow by a well.
Very good. Well, thank you for that, producer Shell, who was described as such. We are moving on to our story of Joseph today, this morning, Dan. And 2 episodes ago, I actually was very touched, very, very touched by that story that we are looking. Actually, one of the things that I love about this program is that as we are talking about the Bible and studying together, it's not like I am in a position of the teacher that knows everything. I'm the position of a student myself here. I really feel that I'm sitting at the feet of Jesus, learning from the stories of the Bible. And while it brings me so much joy to share those stories with our listening friends, I am very often touched and even confronted sometimes, challenged by these stories. And I was so challenged on Wednesday. And I think that God really worked a big thing, a big miracle, even in my heart. And because one of the things that we were discussing was that, when, so just to give you a context here where we are, Pharaoh had this dream, this crazy dream about cows eating cows and grain eating grain. And nobody could interpret that dream for him except for Joseph. Joseph was summoned from the prisons to be in front of Pharaoh. He interpreted the dream. He said, look, this dream, Pharaoh, means that Egypt is going to go through 7 years of lush abundance, but afterwards, 7 years of the worst famine that this country has ever seen. So severe that nobody would even remember that they had these bumper years before. And Pharaoh asks this question about Joseph, and he asks, can we find a man like this in whom is a divine spirit? And one of the questions that we were asking is, how can we be people that others will think the same about us?
And this was a man, Pharaoh, who didn't serve God.
No.
So he clearly could see that there was something different, and he attributed that to God. Yeah, which is amazing.
I'm going to ask you this question here. We're starting with with one application today. What if you come to think about one thing that would make others think that, hey, you know what, like this is a person in whom there is a divine spirit, like the spirit of God is in that man, is in that woman. What do you think that could be many attributes actually. Yeah, that would make people exclaim that. But which one would you say, pops to your mind?
Probably self-sacrificing love. Like, okay, yeah, an orientation around serving others. Putting the interests of others. First. That's
right. My application was like in that very same ballpark. Just maybe one notch more specific, one branch of what this self-sacrificial love can look like, because it can look like a lot of things. Yes. But the things that I was really touched about the specific thing was being someone that anticipate the needs of others.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like it.
I think this is something that is missing a little bit, particularly in my generation, perhaps beyond. Like my generation beyond, we're kind of always waiting for orders to do something or for prompts. Like we're kind of like an AI agent, waiting for prompts to do something. And what I love about the story of Joseph in that context is that he was not only content in giving to Pharaoh the interpretation of his dream, but he says, hey, Pharaoh, by the way, this is the dream, and if I may suggest, you should save 20% of your income during the bumper years to make up for the famine in the difficult years. Yeah. So he was already, he proactively identified that Pharaoh had a need, meaning how to solve a problem. And he already came up with the solution without being asked for. It's not that Pharaoh is asking, hey, Joseph, what should I do? So no, hey, Pharaoh, by the way, this is a suggestion, one thing that you could do about it. So he was anticipating Pharaoh's needs. And And I was quite impressed with that. I said, you know what, God, can you please help me become a person that anticipate other people's needs and fulfill those needs.
Yeah.
Without expecting anything in return,
yeah.
without expecting any kind of applause or anything like that. But I think that this is a branching out of that self-sacrificial love that you mentioned, that I think that people would appreciate.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Very good. So let's see what else we can learn from that story. Since we have given the context already, and Pharaoh said, hey, where can we find someone like Joseph? Let's read from verse 39 then, please.
This is one of my favorites. I would say this is my favorite story in the whole Bible. Anyway, I'll keep reading.
Yeah.
If we're up to chapter, I think it's 45, I would be bawling my eyes out in a mess.
I know. Chapter 45 is so emotional. We will get there eventually.
Maybe I won't be on the show, so I'll spare you that.
Yeah.
All right. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and he clothed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried out before him, bow the knee. So he set him over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh also said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without your consent no man may lift his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah, and he gave him as a wife Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. So Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Joseph was 36 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went out throughout all the land of Egypt. Now in the 7 plentiful years the ground brought forth abundantly. So he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. He laid up in every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. Joseph gathered very much grain, as the sand of the sea, until he stopped counting, for it was immeasurable. And
Let's just pause here for a moment. Let's just describe here what is happening. So Pharaoh says to Joseph, hey, Joseph, I'm putting you in charge of everything now. Here's my signet ring. Here's a golden chain. Nobody will lift up a foot in this country without your permission anymore. Like you're second in charge, and I'm giving you like full reign. Like I trust you.
I wonder where that metaphor came from. No one can lift a foot without you.
Yeah, good question.
No, we don't say that these days.
We don't say these days. I think the closest thing, like nobody could, change the placement of a pencil without consulting you first.
Mm.
I think that we kind of use that in a bit of a negative way, kind of a micromanaging, nano management way. Say, hey Daniel, like your cell phone is in the wrong spot in the table. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that. But I think he's kind of like wanting to say, hey, look, you're going to be like the absolute authority, just after me here in this country. What else happened here in that story? He renamed him.
Yeah, Zaphnath-Paneah.
Yeah, it's Zaphnath-Paneah. And my Bible here is a footnote here. It says, probably Egyptian for God speaks, he lives.
Yeah, right.
So he has a bit of an interesting name. God speaks, he lives. What does it mean? Does it mean that he was in death row, but because God spoke, he was taken out?
Yeah, right.
Or does it mean that, look, we would all die in this famine, or a lot of people would die, but because God, speaks, then people live? So
yeah, it's a good name.
It is a good name. It's an Egyptian name, but it's a name that is...
glorifies God.
Yeah, glorifies God, which again is another parallel with the story of Daniel, because Daniel also received a new name. But in a different order.
The new name for Daniel did not glorify God.
No, it was not a good name.
No.
It was Belteshazzar.
Yeah.
And Belteshazzar is like servant of the god
Bel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it wasn't the inverted order here, because here Joseph is receiving a new name after he helped Pharaoh, and Joseph in the book of Daniel receives a new name before he's brought before the king.
Yeah.
What else is happening here then? What else have I forgotten here from that scene that we have seen?
Yeah, so he got married. He's just really productive in storing up the grain in the good years. And interesting that he got married to the daughter of the high priest of the Egyptian religion.
Yes, isn't that interesting? Yeah, tell me more about it. What sort of what makes that stand out to you?
Well, so we're not told the details, so we kind of have to speculate. Was she converted to become a worshipper of the Hebrew God? It would appear so, because Joseph remained faithful to the Hebrew God. It wasn't as if he suddenly became a priest in the Egyptian religion. We're not, we don't have a huge amount of detail about Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On.
That's right. Sometimes it makes me wonder, could it be that Potipharah was one of the priests in Egypt, but somehow a priest of the God of heaven with whatever limited knowledge? Because we've seen people around the scriptures who are not Jews, and yet they were real
God.
priests.
Yeah,
I think that wasn't Moses' father-in-law a priest in Midian, Jethro?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think he was. Surely the very well-known Melchizedek is one of them.
Yes.
Melchizedek was a priest of the Most High God. That's in the times of Abraham.
Yeah.
And the Bible would actually go, just since we opened that parenthesis of Melchizedek, the Bible would open up to go, because there was a controversy when the Apostle Paul and the disciples were trying to teach that Jesus was our high priest, that the high priest always symbolized Jesus, that Jesus is the high priest interceding for us in heaven before the Father. And people were asking, hey, but how can Jesus be a high priest if he was not a Levite?
Yeah,
because
not from the
he was a
priest.
Jew, and as far as Jews are concerned, you can only be a high priest not only if you needed to be a Levite, but you needed to be an Aaronite.
Yes.
You needed to be one of the sons of Aaron.
Yes.
It was a very specific lineage. Actually, there is a very interesting Jewish surname. Some people have it as a name.
Yeah.
But it's a very famous name. It's called Cohen. You know,
right. Okay.
Cohen?
Yeah.
Cohen means priest.
Okay.
So probably the Cohens that we have, when you look back into the history, they were probably Levites, and very likely Levites that descended from Aaron. That's why they got this name, from the surname.
That means there's a lot of descendants of Aaron in our world today.
Oh yeah, there would be. Look, maybe some, maybe they would, I do not know the science of choosing a surname, but this is the initial origin of that surname. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if Potipharah himself was a priest, but we are definitely not told that Joseph's wife, that she was not on board with the worship of God. And I don't think that Joseph would have married a foreigner or a worshiper of idols. I think he just looking at his general character, and I'll say that we have some evidence for that. Evidence number one: when Judah married a Canaanite woman, the Bible was very much intentional about saying, hey, by the way, this is one of the worst things that Judah has done. He married a Canaanite woman or a foreign woman. And then when Joseph comes here, it doesn't say that she was the worshiper of a foreign gods or anything like that. And so much so that his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, well, they grew up certainly in the ways of the Lord.
Yeah, right.
As well. So there's a very interesting point here, to that story. He ended up marrying in the land, and I believe a God-fearing woman. We are going to continue that story then, but and the question that I am going to be asking is, where is the gospel in that story? By the way, there is a little hint here in verse 46. How old was Joseph when he stood before Pharaoh?
The same age as Jesus.
30 years old. This is a very significant age as far as Bible symbols go. That's a very interesting age.
When I say the same age as Jesus, what I mean is the same age as Jesus, at the peak of his ministry.
That's right. When he began his ministry, he was about 30 years old.
Yeah, right.
King David was crowned at the age of 30 as well. And then Joseph was made ruler over Egypt at the age of 30. So I think that there's some parallels here that we can explore. The question that we're looking at, where is the gospel here? By the way, listening friend, if you can see somewhere, where's the gospel in that story? Text us here. We will read that your message on air. We're trying to figure out here, where is the hidden gospel in the story of Joseph?
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And I believe we have a quiz answer.
We have a quiz answer and then another new quiz for you
And
as
I'm going
well.
to find out where I went wrong.
Yeah. Who was described as a fruitful bow by a well? That was Benjamin's older brother, Joseph.
Oh, you were so close then. Did you say Benjamin?
I said Benjamin,
That was
yeah.
so close, yes. Yeah, I knew it was Joseph. I always remember.
Well, yeah, we're in the story of Joseph, and you are Joseph.
That's
Skafy.
right. So I guess that my brain would naturally soak up more information about Joseph than the average Joe.
That's funny.
Good one.
All right. Producer Shell, let's get a new quiz question, please.
We can indeed do that. So our next question, what object did Job say God uses to seal up the hand of every man so that all may know his work?
That is
What
a great
object
question.
did Job say
Job.
God uses to seal up the hand of every man? This is, I think, the hardest one for today.
Seal up the hand of every
man.
man.
So that all may know his work.
Okay.
Yeah, if
An
you
object.
get this one, because I think it's the answer is like so far out there for what I would think would do this.
So it's not
But
super
it makes sense once you hear it. Once you hear it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But
Okay, say the
I'll
question
give-
one more time. One more time.
okay, what object did Job say God uses to seal up the hand of every man so that all may know his work? I might give a hint in a moment, but I'll see.
You wanna see
if
our
you guys
wrong
wanna
answers
take
first?
That's right.
Look, this is going to be my wild guess.
Okay, you're both incorrect.
Am I super far off as well?
Yes. You're super far
Well,
off.
I'll tell you, it's not a fire brand. Here's a tip for you. What did you say then?
I said rock.
A rock. Seal it with a rock.
Well,
Okay.
Michelle was saying go abstract, so you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you give us
That's
a...
right.
Okay, so is that the only tip that you're giving us?
Well, I was just going to say that this object, although there is like a couple of places in this country where it happens, or you can find this object, it's not as prevalent here as it is in where I'm from.
Okay, it's an object that is very prevalent in
It's a
Wisconsin.
Naturally
Yes.
occurring object.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to read it out one more time. What object did Job say God uses to seal up the hand of every man so that all may know his work? The number is 0491 064 669.
I got it.
You got it from my clue.
I got it from your clue. The only thing is, it in my mind, like, man, it doesn't make sense. I have to really think about how can anyone's hands
It does
get
to me
sealed?
because I'm very familiar with this object, and so I get how it can be a seal.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks for the tip, Producer Shell.
Yeah, and
Are you still
I saw,
scratching your head?
Well, I saw your answer,
saw my answer?
Skafy, and I think you're a bit harsh on Australia, Producer Shell.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it's here in places. I did say that.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah, just not as prevalent as in Wisconsin.
Okay.
In Wisconsin, it's everywhere
Okay.
at certain
All right.
times of the year.
that's a big hit.
There you go. We're trying to help you. 0491 064 669 is the number to text. Play along here. We want to know. This definitely was a brain teaser. This one that definitely got me thinking.
See if you can do better than me. I'm
What did you say?
Zero for two.
After the rock. Did you say
Yeah,
anything
your
else?
second answer.
I said lava.
that is like nowhere near Wisconsin.
Well, but okay, all right.
Very good. Well, I can play like the floor is lava. If
Yes,
that's what
right.
you
We
mean.
can play that.
Okay, one of my kids' favorite games, the floor is lava.
Yeah, right.
Let's get back to the story of Joseph here. So Joseph is being placed at a very high place. He got married to a very important woman, I would say, to someone that is the daughter of a high-profile priest. And then and Joseph did exactly what he said that he was going to do. During the 7 years of plenty, he stored the goods, and by the time that the famine comes, Egypt was in a very advantageous position to serve the world. So let's see here what happens from verse 50.
Sorry, which verse?
Yes.
50?
Yeah. Oh, just one more thing I want to say here. There is a bit of a... I'm not going to say conspiracy theory, but there's some theories about where were these storehouses for all this grain. And I remember, Producer Shell, back in the days, I think 8 years ago, that was when...
the pyramids.
That's right. Ben Carson became infamous. So Ben Carson he's a super ultra famous U.S. surgeon. He's a Seventh-day Adventist. And he was a presidential...
best known for his presidential run.
That's right. He ran for president in the same election where Donald Trump ran for the first time.
Yeah.
And in one of his, one of the media's attempts to try to paint a bad picture of him, they pulled out a presentation a speech that he made like decades before, like many, many years before, where he proposed the theory that the pyramids were originally built to store grain in Egypt, according to the story of Joseph. Now, people laughed at him, they ridiculed him, because look, the pyramids were built in a very different time from Joseph's time. Pyramids were known to be kind of burial sites and places. But at the same time, when you come to think of it, it's a very big monument for just to bury like a couple of mummies there.
Biggest tombstone ever.
Yes. So I think the debate is out there. Then someone came saying, like, this is like outrageous. And then other people came and said, yeah, you know what? It's not totally outrageous. There is some logic to that. So we don't know exactly what were, but what the Bible says is that imagine these massive warehouses, Egyptian style. They might as well have been in the format of a pyramid. They might be not, but they were full to the brim. So there was enough grain for Egypt for years to come and for the rest of the world.
So do the pyramids have much hollow space in them, or are they mostly solid rock?
That is a great question.
Look
it up. If I would have guessed, I would say that there's a lot of hollow space in them, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
They have found out these massive structures going underneath the pyramids. Like they use these like super advanced scanners that go underground.
Yeah.
And so if the mystery of the pyramids was not already a big mystery already, they found out that they have these coils and these like rods going like 1 kilometer down into the earth at the base of the pyramids. Have you seen that one? This was one of the biggest archaeological news from 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody has no idea like what is that, but like it looks like a modern feat of engineering. And of course, people thinking, oh, are these extraterrestrials that built that, or were they demons helping human beings? Or my favorite explanation is that people in the past were not stupid, and they knew far more than probably what we think they knew.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that theory that people of the past, they were not dumb.
Yeah,
they were just as intelligent, if not more.
Yeah,
than we are. Actually, the Bible paints that picture of we have been devolving as far as our physical strength and mental capacity goes. We have been going backwards compared. Because when you look at the book of Genesis, you see people living to 700, 900 years. And then now we are these meager human beings that barely live to 80s, 90s, and we don't use our brain so much because we've been outsourcing our brain to external devices.
ChatGPT, it's just for us.
That's right, just making it
to write our emails
worse and worse. Yeah. All right, let's come back here. So this is
just,
a picture.
By the way,
abundant. Hollow space.
So there were. It's predominantly solid.
Oh, predominantly
but there were hollow.
Chambers,
and so some hidden voids that have only recently been discovered, connected by narrow corridors. And interesting, it says purpose of voids. The spaces are thought to be structural, perhaps built to relieve weight on the chambers below or left over from construction. So there's not consensus as to why there's these voids.
Okay. but it's mostly solid. So probably they haven't been used to store that amount of grain. They use another structure.
Yeah, you wouldn't see a pyramid and go, well, there's that much grain available in that pyramid. It's mostly rock.
Okay, well, thanks for that. That's good to know. So let's see here what happens in verse 50.
Let me get back to the right screen. Verse 50. And to Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Then the 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Egypt ended, and the 7 years of famine began to come, as Joseph had said. The famine was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. Then Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, Go to Joseph, whatever he says to you, do. The famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians. And the famine became severe in the land of Egypt. So all countries came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, because the famine was severe in all lands.
That's right. That's the story of how Egypt became really great. Joseph had to make Egypt great for the first time because they were in such a strategic position. They have anticipated a need. They have stocked up those piles. So when the majority of human beings, we in general, they're saying some people are really good in saving for the future. Naturally, the majority of people are not. This is why you have so many people that are buried in debt. To their head, particularly in the United States, but even in Australia and in other places. Australia is not so bad compared to other countries. But that was definitely the case in the ancient world. So everybody had to come to Egypt to buy some very expensive grain. And even the Egyptians, the Bible would say that when at some point they didn't have means to pay for all that grain. So they started to give their lands. And Egypt had this massive acquisition of lands from people, and then people started to pay taxes on these lands. This is the first time in the Bible, at least, and probably one of the first times in history, where this idea of land tax is introduced. And it's introduced because basically in Egypt, what happens, the land is mine, the land became theirs. Until this point, they were not. But this is what people had. And okay, so now you're living in my land, you have to pay something to live in it. 20% tax from whatever your land produces.
Yeah, right.
So that's the story of Joseph here, and his plan succeeded, and people were coming from all over the world to come, and we will see that soon Joseph's brothers will be forced to go to Egypt. So this is going to be the plot twist of that story. But before we get into that, where can we see the gospel in that story so far? Then what sort of parallels can we see between that story of Joseph? So let's talk just about chapter 41. So Joseph being taken out of prison and into leadership of Egypt. What snippets of the gospel can we see in that story?
Yeah, the whole story of Joseph is an amazing portrayal of the gospel, but you confine it to just this chapter, and the gospel is quite evident throughout the story. And I would say that it's because it's illustrated in Joseph providing for the people, and that's the nature of God, isn't it? He provides a way of escape. He provides a future. He provides the resources that we need. He provides for our well-being, our happiness, and our salvation from the consequences of evil that are going to result in our death. And so here Joseph is providing for salvation from famine.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I love that. So I noticed that as well. So Joseph is saving the world.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus saved the world. Joseph is saving the world through grain with which we make bread. God saved the world through Jesus, who himself was the bread of life.
Yeah.
So we have that parallel here. The other parallel is Joseph saves the world after resurrecting from the dead, metaphorically speaking, because he was as good as dead. To his family, he was dead. Everybody thought that he was dead. The same way that everybody thought, the family of Jesus thought, the disciples of Jesus thought that Jesus was dead as well. while he was not. The father of Joseph thought that he was dead. His brothers probably think that, hey, he's at least as good as dead.
Being, in their minds, he's sold as a slave. So he's,
So does a slave. Future. There's not a lot of future.
But in the minds of the Egyptians, he was as good as dead because not only is he a slave, but he's a prisoner.
He's a prisoner.
Locked up in the dungeon.
So he's supernaturally released from his prison by being able to interpret a dream.
Yeah.
And after his quote-unquote resurrection, he's able to save the world, the Egypt.
Yeah.
The other thing as well that I love about the gospel here is what Joseph said when he bore his kids. When his wife gave birth to his children. It says here, God has made me forget all trouble in all my father's household. So with Joseph's, when Joseph saw that God was blessing him with a family, with children of his own, with a position and everything, he says, you know what? All the trouble that I had, I forgot about it. My life is, so blessed right now. I can see God blessing me so much. And I think that Jesus is the same. Every time that Jesus bears a child to a person that repents and accepts the gospel, Jesus says, no, all the trouble that I've been through, going to the cross, dying for an ungrateful race of human beings that I have created with my own hand. Every time that he sees someone coming to faith, he says, you know what? All of these troubles, they were worth it.
Yeah,
it was worth it. Yeah. And at the end of time, when we can all get reunited with him, he'll say, you know what? It was worth it. When he can see all of his children that God has given him next to him, he'll say, you know what? It was worth it, and God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. This earth was the land of Jesus' affliction, and God had made him fruitful. How? With many sons and daughters that will spend eternity with him, including me, you, and our faithful listener as well.
Yeah. You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Jesus will wipe away all of our tears when the kingdom comes, the Bible says. But also his own tears would be, he will look at them and say it was all worth it. It was all worth it. Just like Joseph did when he begat his son Manasseh. Let's get the answer to the quiz question. Producer Shell, can you please reveal to us what is that thing that God uses to seal the hands of men, and how are their hands sealed with that thing?
So the answer is snow. I would also accept flood, but snow primarily is the thing that that can seal seals the earth. And it says in the King James Version to seal up the hand of every man. So
basically it's saying when it's snowing, there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot till the ground.
You can't labor. You can't. There's not much
work
that can be done. It ceases your ability to achieve your goals.
Very interesting. Yes.
Except if your goal is to go skiing or snowboarding.
That's right. But then someone can, debate is there. That's not work. That's just fun.
That's right.
Unless you're a ski instructor. Very good. Thank you so much, Producer Shell. That was a great one. That was definitely a head scratcher.
Yeah.
And coming up in our show here, what are you going to be bringing, Dan? I heard that you have a pretty interesting story that you're going to be sharing.
Yeah,
with
look,
us.
I mentioned that the story of Joseph brings tears to my eyes every time I read it or hear the story when it gets to the climax. So thankfully I didn't tear up this morning. But there's another story quite similarly. It's just an amazing story, and I'm going to share that. I read it to my kids as a bedtime story. It's a story of redemption, and that's pretty cool.
Okay,
that
can't
happened
wait.
Relatively recently.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be talking about a new platform where AI robots can hire humans to do work for them.
Sign me up.
They can do. Would you like to work? Would you like to have an AI boss to see what he tells you to do?
I want to go to the interview. See how AI interviews me.
There are actually AIs robots interviewing people. It would be very interesting to see what are the things that they're going to be asking. There is a big revolution happening at the very moment in the world of AI, and I'm going to bring it to you today.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.